Hey everyone, Lawyer Friday here. Derek here.
Jason here.
You want to nerd
I'm
out?
a lawyer nerd out. You guys just indulge us for a little while. I think we've earned you some credibility here.
I know.
Harper Lee passed away today.
A titan of literature.
Sharon, you noticed, just left the room. I don't know if you could see him, but one of our producers, Sharon, just left the room because he had not heard of Harper Lee until 10 minutes ago.
And I know, at the risk of alienating some of our audience, we are going to nerd out a little bit.
Somebody
Harper
points out that you said missionary with regard to the background, which I think is fantastic.
Very well done. Missionary usually followed by sex.
Anyway, Harper Lee wrote...
A titan of American literature.
A titan of American literature.
There is to it.
The greatest one-hit wonder in the history of art.
Yeah, you've got her and J.D. Salinger. I mean, Salinger also with Catcher in the Rye considered one-hit wonder. He had other books, Frankie and Zoe, and
but the reason that it's so near and dear to heart, beyond being one of the great works of American literature, and I read it about 6-7 years ago again,
it's
and
phenomenal.
it's an incredibly readable book. Like,
now,
everybody can pick it up and rifle through it. But she also created one of the great legal characters in the history of American cinema.
Atticus Finch. When you are young and growing up and you have aspirations of being a lawyer, that is the archetype you look to.
Yeah.
He is a guy who fought for civil rights in a book, you know, from the 50s.
Yeah,
right?
and it's actually, interestingly,
really
he fought for civil rights, and certain African Americans and others who purport to be African Americans hold him out as a hero.
So yesterday we break the story that Rachel Dolezal had a kid, and the kid's name is Langston Atticus Dolezal. So Langston from Langston Hughes, the famous poet who said, "What happens to a dream deferred? Does it explode?" Atticus, there was some debate because it had a CK in it, and Atticus Finch didn't. But Atticus is a reference to Atticus Finch.
Yes.
I mean, and it's also a reference to maybe Christmas Attics. But the day after Harper Lee passes away.
Christmas Attics.
Yeah.
Charles wrote an incorrect fact on our website.
What did he say?
I went out and told him it was incorrect.
Did he not die in the Boston Massacre?
He did. Charles wrote that it was his killing that started the American Revolution. False.
I think that's absolutely false.
False. And I went out and said that's not true. He said,
"What are you going with?"
So Christopher Atticus was a freed black man in about the time of the Revolution,
Massachusetts.
in Massachusetts. And he was killed in the Boston Massacre, and that was certainly one of the events that months or years later led to the American Revolution. But that is not the first killing of the American Revolution under any circumstance. So
I don't think you can call it that.
Send your comments into Charles.
Charles needs to hear
tell him he's wrong.
Yeah.
Who is Harper Lee? Mona Alvarez Rojos de la Torre says Harper Lee, again, one of the great American authors of all time.
And who was her best friend? Her best friend was one of the other greats of American literature, Truman Capote. Truman Capote, if you've seen the movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman, Harper Lee is a prominent character in that movie.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, we're going to get out of book club right now.
Can we stay in book club just a little bit longer?
In Cold Blood and To Kill a Mockingbird are two of my very favorite books in the history of literature.
And In Cold Blood, Truman Capote's famous book. Now, however, what made me saddest in the newsroom was
we're out on this. We promise.
I promise this is the last point. Was when Jeff Mazzio came up and said, "Oh, Harper Lee passed away. She wrote the instruction manual, How to Kill a Mockingbird." It made me very, very sad.
And he was serious.
And he was very, very serious.